And just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over. And just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward.
What's going on, guys? My name is Specialist Kellum. I am in the Florida Army National Guard, and today we have Officer Candidate Bloomfield here today, and we're going to be doing a little Q&A on why he joined the National Guard and why he transferred from the Navy to the National Guard. We're also going to be asking him about his experience while at Officer Candidate School here in the state program. Really quickly, we're going to do some brief introductions. My MOS is infantry, and I did infantry for about 5 years, and then the last 4 years I was part of a sniper section, and now I'm currently in the process of putting my packet in to go to flight school to become a warrant officer. So that's kind of my background. Now, Officer Candidate Bloomfield, what is your experience in the military?
Like Specialist Kellum said, I was transferring over from the U.S. Navy Reserve over to the Army National Guard. I was in the U.S. Navy Reserves for about 12 years, did a few deployments. I was a Master at Arms while I was in, and I basically had finished my degree towards the end of my enlistment. And when I finished my degree, I was looking for options out there with the U.S. Navy and other branches as to where I wanted to go to become an officer, because after I completed my degree, that was probably essentially one of the things that you need to have to become an officer, is have your degree, at least 90 credits or more. And so I looked into the National Guard. They had a lot to offer, things that were related to my degree, which was in public safety and emergency management. And as you know, the National Guard does a lot with emergency management here in Florida, because we have hurricanes and all kinds of crazy weather that comes through here and tears this state up. So so it had a lot to do with my degree setting. So I think that's why I leaned towards going towards the National Guard. They also had a great program, state OCS, that would kind of work well with my civilian career, being able to manage, do my civilian career on the side and breaking my OCS up over a couple drill weekends throughout the course of an 18-month period and a few 2-week periods within that. I came over to the National Guard last year. I had to do a conditional release with the Navy, and I came over towards the end of my enlistment. I had to redo boot camp for a second time at 31, which was fun. Not really, but...
So that's a good point. If you guys are transferring from the Navy, you will have to go through the Army's boot camp. So it's a good point.
Yes. And if the viewers want any more insight on that, we could do another video at a later point in time where I can explain a little bit more and just help out anybody who's going through the same process and kind of make things a little more streamlined for them. Prior to starting an OCS, you're an RSPO. Being an RSPO is the time where, if you're an 09 Sierra, which is what I came in as, or if you're an 09 Romeo, somebody who's not prior service, such as myself,
so what's the
gets
difference
the chance.
between what's an 09 Sierra and what's 09 Romeo?
So 09 Sierra is somebody who is prior service.
Okay.
And 09 Romeo is somebody who's going to be doing the state OCS program but has no prior service. So they're just different codes. So when I came in, I didn't get to go to an AIT. I didn't get to go to an MOS. I just came straight into boot camp, and then they sign you up as an 09 Romeo or an 09 Sierra.
Okay.
Once you're in the RSPO, then you're sitting there for a few months waiting to be classed up. And during that period of time, they try to help you out with things like land nav, try to help you out with things like drill and ceremony to get you kind of up to speed, so that when OCS does start and you do class up in March, you're a little ahead of the game and you're not like a deer in the headlights trying to figure things out. Some of the things that you should have probably learned prior to the start of that will make life a little bit easier on all of you if you do things such as drill and ceremony, land nav, and definitely working on your physical fitness, because that's going to be a huge part of this.
And that's a good point. So the Recruit Sustainment Program is not only for the officers. You guys can do the Recruit Sustainment Program if you just enlist in the National Guard. And like OC Bloomfield was saying, is it gives you a leg up when you get to boot camp or when you get to OCS school, because what's going to happen at RSPO is they're going to kind of build up that knowledge and that foundation so that when you do get to OCS school, you don't feel lost day one. You could kind of be the leader of the class. So that's something that the Guard offers that you won't see on the active duty side.
It's a perfect place to make your mistakes.
Yeah.
It'll save you a lot of heartache later down the road. There are 3 phases to OCS. There's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is in Fort McClellan, and you're going to be there for 2 weeks. You're going to do lots of stuff there. You're going to take leadership courses. You're going to do some land nav out in the field. You're going to do a couple ruck marches while you're there. Well, actually, that's where you'll have your first 6-mile ruck march. And then you move in, once you've passed phase 1 and you move into phase 2, you're going to be met with a 9-mile ruck march at that time.
What was your exact reason for becoming an officer?
It's a great question. I think everybody has a different reason for why they want to become an officer. For me, it was a few things. I think based off prior experience in the Navy and things I had dealt with and seen as a junior enlisted personnel, I was unhappy with, and I wanted to eventually rise up to being in that leadership position where I could make better decisions than some of my leaders above me were making. I also was lucky enough that when I was in, I had a few people that were higher ranks than me, older, and had been in for a long time, and they took me under their wing and looked after me. So I felt a duty, to be honest, that as you get older and you progress in your career, something such as the military, that it's definitely important for you to give back and pull that next person up, because being part of an organization such as the U.S. Army National Guard is that it means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to you, right? Yeah. And so it's our organization, and it's our duty to make sure that we left it better than we found it, and that comes with looking out after the people that are the young 18, 19-year-old kid that's coming in that needs that guidance and somebody to look up to. I also just a progression of career and wanting to, after I'd got my degree, it was just something I'd always wanted to do. And I'm 4th generation military from my family, so it's just kind of fell in line with all that.
That's awesome. So you have a solid reason why you wanted to become an officer. And he also had the foundation of being prior enlisted, so he was able to see where things could be fixed or where he could incorporate himself and become a better leader to help others. So kudos to you for that. He's been in OCS about 12 months so far. So can you give us an insight on your current experience, any pros, cons, maybe even some tips for recruits that are going to be starting the March class here?
It's been a long 12 months. I still got a long ways to go. I guess when I came into OCS, I was definitely unsure of what I'd be up against as to how prepared I would need to be. I did not expect it to be as rigid as it is. It's definitely physically and mentally enduring. It requires a lot. So, for instance, people who are doing regular drilling with the reserves or National Guard or whichever they're kind of off in between the month if they're a lower listed person. This program sets you up to be a junior leader officer. And so in between your drill weekends, there is information being put out. There are requirements. There are things that are being asked of you, told you, things that you have to do prior to the next drill. And that can be kind of hard on some people because they have families and that or jobs that they have to attend to in between their drills. So that can get a little complicated for some. And so preparing for drill weekends and being ready when you show up is probably the biggest thing that I can harp on is trying to become that well-rounded soldier and whatnot. But it's definitely physically demanding too. You can't just show up and expect to keep up with the group if you're not putting the work in between. So I'm always constantly, almost every day, every other day, definitely going out and running and getting ready for my ACFT and making sure that I, stay up in the front of the pack with my peers. And like I said, the mental part is definitely me just spending a lot of time reading the books, reading the guidance, reading the references.
So what would be your advice? So it sounds like it's not just a weekend thing.
No.
You're constantly attending to different tasks from
and you're
leadership.
Talking to your peers.
So
you maybe even put into leadership roles as well.
So how are you managing those tasks on top of having a full-time job? Long nights.
It's a good long nights. That's a good point. There's times where you're gonna have to sacrifice sleep. How bad do you want it? Do you want to be here? It's gonna show when you show up on a drill and you're prepared and the other person's not, because that speaks volumes on yourself against your peers, and you will be rated and evaluated by your peers in this program, which also plays in to your ability to pick your branch of what you want to go into.
Okay.
Later on.
So that's a big question.
That is a big
How do you pick your branch?
And that leads into it.
So there's an order of merits list?
There's an order of merit list, and it's gonna be based off a few things. What is the needs of the state of National Guard at that time? And if there's something high up there that everybody wants, hopefully you were getting the scores that you needed on the tests that you were taking, and hopefully your peers rate you, and hopefully the cadre rates you well. Because if not, you're going to be the last guy on the totem pole, last woman on the totem pole, and you're not going to get what you want.
So it sounds like time management is huge during OCS, during the weekends, and when you're away from OCS. And then not only that, discipline. So you have to find the discipline to set aside that time to study, to write those papers, to get that PT in. So you're at the top of the order of merits list, because one of your big questions was, how do you pick your branch? And as OC Bloomfield said, it's all dependent on how you rank amongst your peers. So if you want to be the top candidate, you have to put the time in and you have to be disciplined.
A lot of my success in this program I can definitely attribute to going out and talking to my leadership and people who have been in and know the stuff that I don't know, and getting with them and asking them for help. So it is completely okay to go and ask people around you for help if there's something that you're struggling in, whether that be physical PT or whether that be trying to understand military battle drills and tactics. Stuff like that is going to be a good chunk of the meat and potatoes as you move through this program as to being successful, because you're going to, like I said, you're going to be put in leadership roles and you have to give commands. You're going to have to do basic infantry stuff, and if you're not able to, then you're not going to do well in the program if at all finish.
A lot of people, they have the fear to ask for help when they don't know something, but part of being a great leader is admitting when you don't know something, because that's going to build trust and transparency with your soldiers. So don't be afraid while at OCS to ask for help in areas that you're weak at. So another question you guys had was, are there opportunities to go to other schools after OCS or during OCS, like Airborne or Air Assault? So are there opportunities like that?
So while you're going through officer candidate school, that is going to be your primary focus. You're not going to go to any other schools at that point in time, because you are under recruiting, and
it's a liability.
You're under RTI, and that is the school that you're going to. Yes, and if you were to go to another school in between and get hurt, then you can't complete OCS, and that's a whole part of this class too, is staying healthy. If you get hurt, you're not going to be able to continue on with the program, and you can only miss so much point of instruction throughout the whole program as well. It's only up to maybe I think 8 or 9 hours before that you get dropped from the course. What I was told when I first entered this program, and it'd be my advice to anybody moving forward as well, is that this is a marathon, right? This is not a race. 18 months is going to take a long time, and it's hard sometimes in between drills. And so to keep your focus on the end goal here, and to remember that the idea here is to pass OCS, get your commission. Then next step is to focus on getting to your unit and having them send you to BOLIC, which is Basic Officer Leadership Course, getting there, passing your branch school, and then once you pass your branch school, then looking to the future and looking to see what other kind of schools like Airborne, Air Assault,
those are the fun things.
Yeah,
like you can't expect to just join and like, hey, here, you guys want to go do the fun stuff? You gotta work towards that.
You gotta set a foundation first before you do any of that.
So what I've heard is that when you do go to BOLIC, they do ask candidates if they want to go to range school.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can find that out, and we can get back to you on that information as well.
So there's a possibility. I know at least all my buddies that went through IBOLIC, Infantry BOLIC, they ask them while they're at the school if they want to go to Ranger School, because it's part of becoming an infantry officer, and it's what separates supposedly good leaders from great leaders, and you'll get a really good experience from going to Ranger School.
Like I was saying, my experience in the program has definitely been probably one of the toughest schools that I've gone to in the military, and because of mostly the duration of it, it's definitely not easy to devote 18 months of your life to something and see it through.
Yep.
We started with probably about over 33, 34 candidates when I first began, and we lost at least 16 to 18 of that and gained maybe 1 or 2 from interstate transfers. So the attrition rate in this course is high, whether people are dropping because they don't want to be in the course, they got hurt, or they didn't pass things. Whatever it may be, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it's a marathon. This is 18 months, and there are other options to go through OCS, the accelerated program, which is 8 weeks. But being in the Guard, those opportunities are limited and usually given to people that are close towards that age requirement to commission.
As far as your peers in your class go and your instructors, the peers that you have in your class are coming from all walks of life. Some of them have been in the military, have been active for a long time. Some have been in different branches, such as myself. Some people are coming in fresh off the street and have never had any military experience. As far as your instructors go, yeah, they're fun. You'll like them. They want the best for you.
Yeah.
There is a reason to the madness.
Would you consider this like kind of like boot camp every weekend?
The earlier stages of phase 1 definitely seem like that. It's a repeat in a Groundhog Day kind of situation, but everything is done for a reason, and you may not see it right now, but in time you will. And as you go through the course and you start understanding maybe why they are harping so much on things like being dressed right dress and
attention to detail, huge.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's what we're taught in the military, but sometimes it kind of, we kind of forget it. Yeah, exactly. But it's important because you as a leader, you're going to be commanding people at some point, and you want to make sure that you're setting your people up for success. There's no one little thing that somebody's missing could be the detriment to the whole group and and essentially get somebody killed. And that's what we're working here towards is building and putting together leaders that are going to make the best decisions out there for our friends, our family, and our kin. We want to see them come back home safe, and we want to look after them. So we only want the best.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this little Q&A that we put together on Officer Candidate School. If you guys have any more questions that you need answered, maybe about the different phases or more in-depth insight on OCS School, let us know down in the comments. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can connect with us offline or ask them in the comments as well. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, thank you for having me on here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share my experience, and any way I can help out any future candidates for OCS. It's my job. I definitely want to give back. I just encourage you all to definitely do some digging, some research, and dig deep and decide if this is something you want, because it's a commitment, and I'm very humbled to have been given the chance to go through this course.
All right, guys. Again, you guys can connect with us offline, and then please let us know in the comments what other videos you want to see, because our goal and our job here is to give you guys an insight to what life is kind of like in the Florida Army National Guard and different MOSs. But with that, we will see you guys in the next video.
I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over.